Listen very carefully and follow my instructions. Prepare your brain for the Cortex Labs Nootropics podcast.
I gotta tell you, being an entrepreneur, I will not go through the rest of my career without taking nootropics. Aniracetam, piracetam, modafinil, Nupep, uridine monophosphate. I mean, phenylpiracetam, forget it. You can always have a better brain.
The Cortex Labs Nootropics podcast is about to begin.
Episode number 99 of the Cortex Labs Nootropics podcast. I am your host, Ryan Michael Bell. Thanks so much for listening. We're going to talk about taking nootropics for a year or two, because there are some people who get into nootropics, take them for a year or two, figure out that they've optimized particular areas of their brain or particular functions of their processing, and then from there they kind of stop. Now, it's hard to determine whether or not any of the changes that have taken place in their brain are long-lasting. But anecdotally, it seems the case for a lot of folks, and we talk to a lot of folks in the consulting that we do that is the case. So I kind of want to talk about that, give people a perspective on not necessarily an ongoing nootropics usage, but a brief period in their life where they optimize their brain enough, or even after they take nootropics, they still have benefits. And there's a lot of compounds that facilitate that, okay? But in the meantime, let's quick talk about product, because we got some specials. Number one, we have a stack. It's called Cortex. You guys know the Cortex stack, and if you don't, it is a powerful pre-made stack. We made it for business people initially. It was like, if you want focus, motivation, mental energy, the capacity to do work, the will to be productive, you got to buy a bottle of Cortex. It's a strong stack. Right now, if you use the coupon code 5, FIVE, you can get a bottle of Cortex for $28. If you've been thinking about trying our stack Cortex, now is the time. Go to livecortex.com, add a bottle to your cart, use the coupon code 5, FIVE, get yourself a bottle for $28. If you need my help personally, we have two consulting services. One is a 40-minute call with me. It's a one-time call. We basically just help people figure out stacks that, work well for them and kind of just, leave you on your way at that point. And that's that's good. If you're new to nootropics, that's kind of where you want to start. If you're an executive or a business person and you need longer term help, if you got mercury poisoning and your brain needs help, to get you back kind of where you were, we have a longer term consulting package. It's a 6-month package. We formulate nootropic stacks for you and ship them to you. And we work with you with unlimited Skype calls throughout that time. In some cases, we even come to you and have some consults. That's a $5,000 package. That's for 0.1% of you. I understand that, but I just wanted to throw that out there as an option. If you're new to nootropics, we got two products for you. Smarter, Better, Faster, which is a digital book that teaches you everything, gives you many stacks, it's downloadable, or the Nootropics Starter Pack, which is a bottle of our stack Cortex plus Smarter, Better, Faster, which is our digital book that teaches you everything about nootropics and gives you stacks as a package deal. Get all that stuff at livecortex.com. Okay, so briefly, I just sort of want to say that there are people for whom nootropics are a major part of their life, and nootropics have been a major part of their life for very many years. There's a guy who is like one of the highest recorded IQs. His name is Rick Rosner. He's still alive to this day. And he's been taking nootropics for many, many years. I mean, decades. He takes piracetam, alpha-glycerolphosphocholene, I think centrophenoxine, Alcar, a bunch of other nootropics. And he takes them all the time. And this guy is probably a smart guy without them. But he takes them and optimizes his brain, and the guy has a freaking 194 IQ. That's a good example of somebody who's been taking nootropics for a long time and kind of ongoingly takes nootropics. Let's take me, for example. I'm probably 11 years in to taking nootropics at this point. I started a very long time ago when I got out of the United States Army. I went to business to become an entrepreneur. And I recognized after meditating and realizing meditation totally helped my brain, what else could I do? That nootropics were like a significant boost in everything. It was like acute performance enhancements that allowed me to do better in business and allowed me to be a heck of a lot more productive. And it was like this awesome thing. But for me, it became a fascination. It's like, okay, well, what else is out there? And what other combinations are out there? I got obsessive. Like I got this big, thick book that has all my stacks and all my experiments and everything I've ever done in it. And I just detailed it so much and figured out stacks that's like that other people frankly haven't figured out. And that's the basis for some of our digital books. A lot of that stuff is in our digital books. You can get them at livecortex.com. But I'm 11 years in and I love them. Now, I take nootropics probably less these days than I did 5 years ago, just because I've optimized a lot of regions of my brain, I feel. And I don't need like high doses or consistent doses of nootropics to feel good and to function well. I function really well now kind of all the time. Now, if I stopped taking nootropics and never took one again, obviously I'd have a performance deficit compared to where I am now. But I don't think it would be that significant. Well, that's me. Then you've got the guy from Bulletproof. Let's look at Dave Asprey, for example. He's got this whole kind of empire called Bulletproof Executive and the whole Bulletproof brand where he sells, upgraded coffee and MCT oil, and invented this thing called Bulletproof Coffee, which is MCT oil and some butter and, very particular toxin-free coffee, which facilitates brain performance by fostering fatty acid usage in brain cell mitochondria, essentially fostering ketosis. That guy has been talking about nootropics for as long as I've been talking about nootropics, probably longer than I've been talking about nootropics. In my early days, I was reading a lot of his research and watching a lot of his videos talking about aniracetam and phenylpiracetam and modafinil. He once said that he took modafinil kind of every day for like 8 years straight. And he probably still takes it. I don't know if it's every day, but that's a good example of somebody who's been taking nootropics for a long time. But now check this out. We have a guy, and there's a couple different examples of this, and we'll just call him Joe X right now. Joe X reached out to us probably, I want to say like 2 years ago or something, for a nootropics consult. He's like, he's 40-something years old. He's like, my brain's kind of atrophying. I feel like my memory and my processing speed is not where it was. I do a lot of analytical work at my job, and I'm wanting to optimize, some of these functions. So can you help me? So we gave him a bunch of stacks. We figured out what worked well for him. We worked with this guy kind of ongoingly. This is a guy that did a $5,000 package with us. And so it was 6 months of us just straight working with him. And we got him stacks that worked so good. And he kept taking them after the consulting period was done. He kept taking the stacks. He'd email me every now and then. Here's what I'm trying, Ryan. It's really working, or it isn't working. What do you think? And then it was probably about a year and a half in to him taking nootropics that he emailed me one day, and he's like, I've been cycling off a lot more of these compounds. I've been taking them pretty sparingly, and soon enough, I'll probably be to the point where I'm taking them maybe once or twice a month, a couple times a month just to get the extra performance when I really need it. But I'm starting to notice, Ryan, that like my brain really works awesomely, kind of as it is. There's many days I'll go throughout the entire week and take nootropics, and I'll go to work, and my faculties are basically right on par with when I'm taking nootropics. Maybe a little less, but so much more manageable than before I took nootropics, which is why I came to you for help. And I heard from this guy recently. He's like, man, I haven't taken any nootropics for like a couple months, and he's still performing well. So what is going on here? Okay, was he taking something like pramiracetam? I actually forget some of the stacks he was taking. Pramiracetam, we just did a video on this, actually facilitates long-term memory formation, reference memory, and it probably does so by facilitating high-affinity choline uptake, basically drawing choline into neurons for the synthesis of acetylcholine. But it might be doing some other stuff too. Maybe it's working on nerve growth factor. Maybe it's facilitating neurogenesis. We really don't know because a lot of that stuff isn't studied. I know that he was taking the Cortex stack and Cortex variants. So if you're taking uridine, CDP choline, DHA, a B complex, Alcar, all in one, then it's demonstrated to, at least in rats, and it's also being studied for Alzheimer's in humans, to facilitate neurogenesis. That's literally the building of new neurons in one's brain. Right, so was he taking that stack, and that optimized his brain so much? It sensitized dopamine receptors. It upregulated neurogenesis. It helped him to build new neurons. It helped him to build a different brain, to where now some of that stuff is permanent, either permanent or semi-permanent. Who knows what's going to happen in 2 years? Maybe he'll get back on nootropics. But this is a case where the guy was taking various different nootropic stacks for about a year and a half, scaled them down substantially to the point where he's really not taking nootropics anymore, and a lot of the effects have stuck. I can give you my own personal anecdotal experience on Noopept. Now, I don't take it a whole lot these days, Noopept. Maybe once a month, maybe twice a month. I've just got like 50 different stacks to cycle between. I've got so many different stacks. And then I cycle off sometimes for a week or 2 weeks at a time. But I was terrible at reading comprehension. It was one of my major downfalls in school. I hated school so much because I'm different. I'm creative. I don't like to learn that way. Kind of like I hate authority. I hated my teachers. I failed. I was a DNF student in school, believe it or not. And part of that was because I just wasn't into it. But another part of it, especially as it relates to reading comprehension, is I was terrible at it. I just could not soak up the stuff I was reading. I'd be confused where I was, like I couldn't put the whole bigger picture together. Then I started experimenting with Noopept. Noopept is a cholinosensitizing nerve growth factor fostering nootropic compound, that works basically on facilitating cycloprologlycine in your brain. It's essentially an endogenous form of cycloprologlycine, which is a peptide that, you typically have in your brain that has all kind of different mechanisms. And before you know it, I could read and comprehend information. I mean, that's part of how I got so smart, essentially, basically information dense on nootropics, because I read every study there is out there. And I remember it. I've retained the information. All the stuff you guys hear me post on these videos and the podcasts and everything else we put out, blog posts, it's in my head. And now there's research that I do every day still, and there's experimentation that I do every day, but so much of this is just in my head and I remember it. And that's because I took Noopept for a long time. I really believe that that's what happened. So, whether you're the person that's going to take them for 10, I guess what I want to say is don't necessarily think that you need to be that person that needs to take nootropics for every day of your life, that it needs to be a part of your life like coffee is or alcohol is or whatever is, getting dressed in the morning. It doesn't necessarily have to be that way. And feel okay knowing that if you optimize your neurology with these chemical compounds that have been proven to do that, and you feel good at baseline and you can scale back on nootropics usage, that's okay too. I know they're cool. I know they're alluring. I mean, trust me, I'd love to just take modafinil and a racetam and a choline source every day. That's one of the greatest stacks ever. Add some theocrine and you're set. Maybe some L-theanine for a balancer. I'd love to do that every day because it jacks up my performance something crazy, because it's alluring. But frankly, I've been taking nootropics so long, I don't have to do that every day, or even every other day or multiple times a week, and my brain still works awesome, and I'm okay with that. Okay, so, whether you're going to be that person or not is really up to you to decide, and it's up for you to see. It's kind of to be determined, but if you start noticing that if you scale back on nootropics and your brain still works well, you might be one of those people, and it's totally okay. All right, so I hope that makes sense. Ryan at livecortex.com. If you have any questions, I'd love to answer them on the air or on a podcast. Remember, the Cortex stack right now is $28 using the coupon code 5, F-I-V-E, for it's being called the only pre-made stack that works. If you want a stack that anecdotally will improve your brain over time and that just turns you into a productivity beast, you got to buy a bottle of the Cortex Nootropic Stack. Do that at livecortex.com. Don't forget to use the coupon code 5. That will save you money right now. If you need my help on any of this stuff, we've got 2 consulting packages. One of them is a 40-minute call with me where we just introductory help you figure out stacks that work well for you. You take them, you're on your way. The other is a $5,000 package. It is a 6-month ongoing brain performance / nootropics consult where we figure out stacks for you. We mail them to you free. You don't even have to do anything. And you take it and you optimize your brain. If you've got mercury poisoning or a fatigue issue, we'll help you with that too. Basically, it's getting your brain to perform at an elite level. A lot of our customers for that are executives, business people, CEOs, C-suites, marketers, entrepreneurs, just people that really need hefty brain performance and obviously can afford $5,000. Get that at livecortex.com. If that is you, let's work together. And lastly, if you're brand new to nootropics, we got 2 products for you. Number 1 is Smarter, Better, Faster, which is a digital book that teaches you everything you need to know to start with nootropics. Cycling, my favorite stacks, how to stack things together, questions answered, racetams, modafinil, everything in between. Get Smarter, Better, Faster at livecortex.com because you could download it today and you'd have it on your phone or Mac or PC, however you want to read it. Kindle, it basically comes with everything. Android device. And then the other package for people that are new is the Nootropics Starter Pack, which gets you Smarter, Better, Faster, our digital book, plus a bottle of Cortex in a package deal. If you want to save money, that's the way to go. All right, so thanks so much for listening, everybody. Check us out on YouTube. Check us out on Facebook. Go to livecortex.com. Read the blog. We got tons of videos up there, tons of podcasts, everything else you can think of. And thanks so much for listening. We'll talk to you next time.